Hey guys, so I wanted to do a video talking about pressure passing and how to combine it with more movement passes. First up, I just wanted to define what pressure passing is versus movement passing. I guess it's kind of like a broad term. So movement passing, people generally think of more like toreando, knee cuts, something where you're standing and you can move around. And pressure passing, people I guess generally think of something like double underhooks like this, maybe an over-under pass series. There's one where people will like trap a butterfly hook like this and pass from here. But it's anything where you're kind of dropping your weight down on them. The actual idea of pressure passing in general, for me, all of those passes function differently. And if you watch my videos before, you know I like to break things down into separate kind of mini games. So realistically, I don't think there's a ton in common necessarily about how you do a double underhook pass and how you do an over-under pass, right? So for me, I really isolate those each into separate individual things. But as a loose term, a lot of people will just refer to it as pressure passing versus movement passing. So I'm going to talk about how I like to incorporate pressure passing in a way that also fits well with like kind of movement and how to combine them, okay? So first thing to understand, we're just going to start with understanding like toreandos and knee cuts and how I set this up. So when I approach someone and they're on their back, I'm looking at their leg like elevation. And I break it down into low, mid, and high. So low is what I would say is like parallel to the floor. In this case, the person's going to be very open for like a toreando or a knee cut, because I can just control the legs and walk around here. If I want to do a knee cut, you have to trap a leg first. It's already at the perfect angle for that, so it's really easy to start entering in for some knee cut variation. Mid is what I would say is probably the most difficult or annoying, which is the guy's feet are aimed around your chest. In this case, for me to do a toreando or a knee cut, I kind of have to get these feet down first, right? And so his feet are often looping and it's a little bit difficult to deal with, okay? So that's low, mid, and then high is almost self-stacking. Some guys will do this if they're really flexible, like Michael Lange used to do this all the time. He keeps his legs up here. And then the challenge this can pose is, if I like to do toreandos and knee cuts, his legs are way up here. So it's really hard to bring them back down. And as I'm messing with them, he's getting grips, right? So a lot of guys with strong open guards will actually, when they're on their back, keep their legs up like that, right? So for me, I kind of categorize as I enter, it's like low, mid, high. So if I approach a guy's guard and his feet are kind of down like this, it's really easy to start initiating a knee cut, start hitting a toreando, and I'll pressure that way. What I noticed when I first started developing my passing system was that I would only want a toreando and knee cut. Well, guys started to lift their feet up like that, right? And they started to get up here, and I started to have a really big, hard time. So I always tried to force going down. So what I started doing later on in my career, as I started getting more into pressure passing, is I realized when his feet are high like this, it's really easy to just grab both ankles and pin them above the head, right? You can come in a little closer here. Once I go here, I'm gonna start getting my knees, go around back side, yes, right. Yeah, I wanna get my knees behind the back here, like this, right? And I can start building my pressure passing from here. I'm gonna go into the pass in a second, but I wanna talk a little bit more about the setup again, and just how this all combines. Because again, if you break everything into like separate positions, this position is like the grip fight battle on top. I'm trying to enter into the pass I want. But ultimately, you have to take what they're giving you, not what you want. If he's setting himself up for the perfect pressure pass, I'm going to take that rather than forcing the toreando when it's not there. The interesting thing is, as you start to get good at this pass, I'm going to show in a second, guys will start to try to get out of that by bringing their feet back down, right? So they resist as soon as I push up here. Exactly. And now that'll start opening up the toreando sequences. One thing I noticed with guys that only pressure pass is they fight guys who keep their legs down and they have a hard time trying to dig underneath to get to the stack, right? But I have the reverse problem, which is I'm always trying to toreando. These guys naturally stack themselves. As soon as I made that realization, this was really easy to incorporate. So all I do here is once I come in, I start to look for the legs down, he keeps the feet up even a little bit, or even if they're mid, I just go like a C grip like this underneath both ankles. I'm gonna pin the ankles over the head. Once I get here, I get both of my knees locked in on the lower back. This is really critical. It doesn't matter how flexible a guy is. Once you get your knees locked in on the back like this, I train with Andras Bernovskis a lot, and he uses this system so well. And the finish from here, I've learned from him, and I use it all the time now. But man, it doesn't matter how flexible you are. You can't get your hips back. The mobility matters more when the guy's hips are on the floor and he can get his legs in play. But if this is up here, it's really hard for the guy. So once I pin the knees in the back like this, I got the ankles down, I'm gonna switch both hands here and I'm gonna grab the lapel, right? And come in a little close to get the grips here, right? And I grab the lapels on both sides here. Let's turn this way a little bit. Yeah, hard to turn there. Okay, so I get the lapels on both sides here, right? I keep my knees in the low back and I can kind of pressure here. It's really uncomfortable. You can take your time, right? Let's turn the other way. Okay, so we got here, I got the knees in the low back, I go like this. You can work your chest in here, and all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start looking with this knee first to drop over the bicep, and my left hand is gonna come across here. If you can come around this way to try to get the view. There's so many angles on this one. Okay, it's gonna come across here to get this grip here. This right hand, I'm now gonna slide low on the lapel. If I need to pull it out a little bit, that's fine. I'm gonna wrap around here. Look at my right leg here, right? So I have this one on the back now, and I can take my time here, right? I control here, I control his hips, sorry. And like, you can really cook them here too, right? So then I work here, I have that arm pinned with my left shin, and now as I move a little bit, I'm gonna take my time, I'm gonna dig my head in and drop him. Notice with this low lapel grip, my arm is locked under his back like this. It's really hard for him to move anywhere from here. Doesn't matter how good you are at recomposing, you just completely lock their hip down. You get the pass, and then you can build from here. Of course, you can go straight for like a paper cutter choke from here, but it's just a really strong pass position. Something else to understand about combining those pass systems is that the good thing with the movement passes sometimes is you may be in a match and there's like 30 seconds left and you need to pass now, right? In those cases, movement passes are really good. Think of like Leandro Lowe style, right? In that case, it's like the guy almost doesn't even see the pass coming. It's like you hit the perfect timing and you're just past the guard, right? And that can be really good because sometimes you need the pass now. That being said though, sometimes it can take a lot of energy and you have to move a lot. The pressure passing can be really good where if you're up 2 points or it's even and you get the guy into a bad position, you're burning his energy out and you're doing nothing. So if a guy, you know, I may be moving a lot, right? And we're here and I'm like looking for tornadoes, we're doing all this stuff, and he leaves his feet high for a second and he's used to all this movement. If I can pin him here and lock in, once I get these lapels, I don't have to pass now. I can sit here and I can really use my knees to get all of his weight on his neck and pull. Some guys will just turtle immediately. If I spend a minute and a half here just cooking him, by the time I get the pass, all of his energy's gone. He's psychologically broken. It's a terrible position to be in, right? And you just make it last as long as you need. So that's a great thing, right? Especially if you're up by 2 points, or if it's just even. But that being said, you may be at the end of the match and there's a minute left and the guy's willing to just hang on the rest of the match, right? And in that case, you may need to back out the speed. So I urge people to only do pressure passing, and a lot of people are really attached to that like pressure. They just love crushing things, right? If you only have pressure passing, try to add some movement passes in. If you only do movement passing, try to add some pressure passing in. Because they both have their benefits, and there's no reason to ever build your game off of one thing. You really want to have a well-rounded game with certain specialties. Okay, guys? Also, as always, follow on Instagram at JohnThomasBJJ. We put a lot of content up on there on like smaller details and stuff that it's really hard to cover in the YouTube video itself. And as always, if you guys like the content, like, share, subscribe. Thanks a lot.